All right, welcome back to the next video. This is a really big one. There's some really valuable lessons here, and we're going to show you how we build offers. First off, we want to talk about the 10x factor of scaling. This is really going to allow you to build a crazy scalable business. And ultimately, a lot of this comes down to the math. So if the math doesn't check out, it honestly doesn't matter how good your offer is, your ads, your support, or your intention. Like if the math doesn't work, you're not going to be able to take this to an ad network and run ads and get new customers. You're gonna have to rely on organic methods, which is great and it's cool. You're not paying anything for traffic, but it's also, again, like doing a rain dance and praying for dance or for water rather than just turning the tap and having it come to you. So, Alan, you're the one who came up with this idea or rather figured it out, so to speak. So why don't you tell them a bit more about the 10x factor of scaling?
Yeah, so I actually got a hint of this idea from Dan Kennedy because we'd like to give credit where credit's due, and he mentioned something like this on one of his calls, and like it was just an offhand comment, and then I started like thinking about it. I'm like, damn, this is big. So I started digging into it and developed this. So the idea is like 10x factor, right? So let's say you're selling whatever your front end product costs, you need to be able to make 10x amount in 30 days in order to scale. So if you're at like 1x, you can get 1 to 5 buyers a day. If you're at 5 to 10, if you're 2x, 5 to 10, like the magic, the tipping point is like at 5x. So if you're selling a $5 book and you can make $25 back from it, then you can get like 2 to 500 buyers per day. But if you're at 10x, you can get 500 to 1,000 buyers a day with that. So if you're selling it now, like you might be thinking, well, like if it's $1 book and you're making $10, that's 10x. Doesn't work. Like $1 book, the math just doesn't really check out as much as well. The numbers get
It's
kind
like
of
five
crazy, and free
plus.
books numbers. Yeah. So five plus, that definitely works. So that's it. And so what we do is we engineer a process to generate 10x revenue for a $5 book. And now this is only on the front end component of the funnel. This is not part of your profit zone, right? So go to the next slide. So this actually, I actually got this from my buddy Jay right here. This idea right here, which is the idea of maximum lifetime value of a customer, right? So if you hang on in any forum, go to any event or any mastermind, talk to anybody, everybody's, obsessed with this the fucking term AOV, right? AOV, AOV, AOV. If I increase my AOV, right? Like, damn, AOV, right? Especially like the Shopify guys, right? AOV, right? Like average order value, right? That's everybody wants to deal with AOV. Like, well, that's the wrong metric to look at because what you need to focus on. And actually, my friend Jay came up with this. So I give him full credit, right? I give him full credit. What I came up with is the bottom part, the percentages, right? So the idea is to have a maximum lifetime value of a customer. You have to engineer maximum. So the way that works is like when I work with when I worked with consulting clients and we implemented this tactic, like the first deal was like, hey, let's figure out how you get your entire funnel. If everybody buys everything you're selling, can be $100,000, right? And if you just do that, then all the numbers go up. Your AOV goes up, everything goes up, right?
Yeah.
So, for example, like if you look at our funnel for 2 Hour Agency, you got the book, the audiobook, the bump, the upsell, the second upsell, and then the back end is actually $5,000. But in this case, we use a $10,000 example. It'd be like $10,000, right? And so with the $5 book, with the webinar model, if anybody's running webinars, the MLTV, the rule of thumb is 1/3. With a book model is 1%. So we can make 1% of the total lifetime value of the maximum lifetime value of a customer in 30 days. Meaning, if you sell a $5 book and you add everything else you're selling behind that book, you can get 1% of that in 30 days, meaning like $101.94, right? That's like your customer acquisition and that your profit. Now, if you implement this model over a year, right, then you can get 200, like 2 to 3% of your MLTV, meaning like, $200 to $300 range, right? Now, if you add like a component piece in there that's like $100,000 package, like Kevin's doing with supplements company, whatever, for his gym guys, then you can get like, it might take you a year or two to get one of those, but you'll get it. It'll increase that AOV up, right? So you really have to focus on the maximum lifetime value of a customer, because like once you do this, then the 10x component of $5 book takes care of itself. And nobody thinks about this, right? Nobody thinks about this. Like, how do I increase? Because here's the reality: like, people will buy from you as much as they can, right? Like, if there's no more stuff to buy, they don't buy. So you can't, like, the math is limiting. There's a ceiling that you
Yep.
can't get through. So you have to raise the ceiling like to the sky, and then like people will just keep buying if you offer it. Like I have a friend he does these he does like a local marketing. Like he does like so what he does like he'll do like a meetup in a local marketing deal, right? And like he was telling me how like his MLTV is pretty huge, and like anything he puts out, he'll put out like a $10,000 program, and like some lady will drive across the country to buy it from him, just
Yep.
because he put it out. She doesn't even do anything with the other programs, right?
Right.
So yeah, it's really powerful.
Yeah, and I think another way to say this is like if you're able to add, if you're able to keep adding like high ticket back end things, you're gonna be able to spend more on advertising to get new customers through the door. But if all you're focused on is like that front end average order value, you're not really gonna increase your, you're not gonna better your economics to the point where you're gonna be able to keep up with higher competition and higher ad costs, et cetera, et cetera. So really important stuff. So now what we want to do is kind of go through how does our model or system or whatever you want to call it, like how does it work? What does our funnel look like? What are the products? Like what are the conversion rates and how does it all work? How does it all work? So what we have from the 2-Hour Agency is you start off with an ebook on the left, and then you've got upsell one, you got downsell one, upsell two, downsell two, and then it goes over to a high ticket backend. So starting from the left, we've got $5 to $35 price range, and that's because you don't just have a book, right? You want to have some add-ons, and you want to have, for example, like we had two options, like you buy the ebook or you buy the ebook plus the audiobook. So just before they leave the first checkout page, some people have already spent about $35. Then they get to the upsell one page, and there's a certain way that we think about this, right? It's what do you call it? Bigger, faster, stronger. So they just bought something from you, whether, again, it doesn't always have to be an ebook, in our case it is, but they bought something, an ebook. What is something else that is on the same topic that's gonna help them get the results that they want? Give them bigger results, how can you give them better results, how can you give them faster results, stronger, et cetera, et cetera. What is something you can offer that's gonna give them that? So you should aim for a 20% conversion rate there. That's when it's like, you've got a good one, you've got a good copy and all that. And then some people are gonna say no. Actually, if you have 20% conversion rate, it means most people are saying no. But then you can offer a downsell. So you might offer them a discount or something like that. Then you've got upsell two, which there are different ways to think about it. What we like to do is maybe some type of done for you component, or if possible, some kind of software, or maybe even some kind of paid mastermind. We've done that, and so we were doing like $6 to $7 a year, and then we did a downsell. You can do it for $9 a month instead. So that was like a mastermind. They joined this private Slack group, and you have that. And then we kind of stopped selling for the moment, and we just kind of continue providing value and helping them consume the stuff that they bought. And then that's also where we have our awareness process kind of kick into gear and start taking people from being relatively unaware to becoming really aware and understanding what our back and high ticket product is and how to join it. And then at the top, you have all these, roads leading to each of these products. So you start off, you're running ads on Google, on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook, etc., getting people to your ebook. And then you also have retargeting ads for the people that didn't buy it. And then you have retargeting ads for people who maybe bought the book but didn't buy upsell one, or maybe they bought the book and upsell one but they didn't buy upsell two, so you can have retargeting ads for that. Then you also want to have email sequences for every single one of these. You also want to have SMS sequences. You probably don't want to bombard people with text messages because that can get real damn annoying real quick. But this is kind of the setup of the whole funnel and the roads that we build to sell these products with emails and ads and SMS messages, etc. Yeah, anything to add before we do the component funnel section?
Yeah. So I mean, this is it, right? But it's like we're also like testing the new version now, which is like on the front end where we're gonna try to have like a monthly continuity and then change it up a little bit. So the way we teach like this right here, automatic lines, this is what we call a living course, right? Meaning that this is just what we know that works the best moment in time. And then as soon as we find something works better, like through our testing, we just update everything. And then everybody in the program just gets updated and they update it. So what we're testing now is actually we're putting upsell 2 as a bump, putting the bump as upsell 2. And then instead of having $97 for upsell 1, we're doing 2 payments of 97. And so far, like other people in the program testing that have seen really, really good results. And so we're actually going to head in that direction once we do more testing to see how it stabilizes out.
Yeah, and a lot of the testing, it's not drastic stuff. It's mostly like testing different price points, different types of upsells, rearranging things. So rather than having the monthly mastermind as downsell 2, like literally the last piece of the funnel, let's put it at the front because people like it and it's good for business. So those kinds of elements we're testing and tweaking. And the beauty about having this community is like we can have people test stuff and report their findings, and then everybody else can go out and implement the same thing. So,
yep,
it's good stuff. So yeah, component funnel. Alan, talk us through. What is the difference here between the acquisition engine and the profit zone?
Right. So the thing is, like, ultimately you want to do this to make money, right? And like when I say make money, I'm not talking about just generate revenue, right? That's irrelevant. Like what you want to do is you want to make money so you can actually have money in your bank account so you can spend on things you really want to enjoy, like, buy a new car, travel, buy a house, do whatever you want, right? So we have what we call a component funnel, which is 2. So the yellow zone we call here is the free acquisition, client acquisition engine. This gets us a shit ton of clients, right? The profit zone is where we turned as like the clients over to, we sell them $5,000 to $25,000 programs, and what we do is like I think like 1 to 3 out of 100 will become $5,000 to $25,000. Now 1 to 3 out of 100 in 7 days. By the way, I think it was like 11 days on average, but it was like one guy bought, like a few guys bought like day 0, and a few guys bought later. So
yeah, some outliers in there.
Yeah, and then we have like levels of customers, which we're going to talk about later. So like level 1 and 2 customers, they're not going to buy your high ticket stuff. Okay. These guys will never buy your high ticket stuff. Now, level 3 customers, they will all buy your high ticket stuff, or most of them. And what happens is like the reason you need level 1, 2, and 3 is because level 1 and 2 customers help you economically acquire level 3 customers. And we'll talk about that later. But that's all you have to know for now in regards to level customers. Like webinar model and other models, they all focus on level 3 customers. Everybody wants to get those, juicy high spenders. But the problem is like, there's not that many of them, and then everybody just wants to sell them. Nobody wants to service level 1 and 2 customers. And we'll show you how, like, when companies implement all 3 levels, like things change big time for them.
Yep, absolutely. And then the way that we, like, if we think about yourself, right? You're watching these videos and you're probably trying to see how this is going to fit into what you're doing and how you can take this model and make it work for you. So we've touched on this before, but effectively the way that we do things is first we do the economics. So I'll show you in a second, but we got a calculator, but you figure out the math. So you don't start anything until you know that the math is going to work out. You don't go out there and build a funnel and write a book and then start running it and then realize that, holy crap, I'm paying this much per click. The math is not adding up. I'm losing, money and there's no profit for me. We want to know that before.
Math. Yeah. You can't beat bad math. Like there's nothing you can do. Like you can hire the best copywriter.
Yeah.
You can have the best coach. You can buy the most expensive program. You can rent like 800. You can rent a Lamborghini dealership.
Yeah, exactly. And again, one thing I remember from Dan Kennedy, he was like, he was talking about Gary Halbert did an ad for somebody, and he's regarded as one of the best in the world ever. So Gary Halbert did this ad for some guy, and then this guy took that ad, he ran it, and it's like it did okay, etc. Actually, it probably did great, but his economics were screwed, so he didn't get the results that he needed. So then he took that ad and he went to Dan Kennedy. He's like, "Hey, can you fix this? Like, I just need like a 1% bump." And Kennedy was like, "Dude, number one, this was written by one of the best in the world. Number two, the ad is not going to fix your business. Like, you got to fix your economics, and then the ad is going to basically be less and less relevant." So if there's anything to focus on here, it's the economics, okay? But
you can't. There's nothing like if you have bad math, like how can we put this? Like, I mean, shit. Like what if like you build a house and you had bad like planning, whatever.
Yeah, bad foundation.
It's
bad
crumble. Foundation. It goes to, exactly. Like, and so everybody wants to focus on selling and all this stuff with bad math, and doesn't work, right? And you know where you see bad math happening a lot, like in the startup scene, like like just raise a
Get
bunch of
financing.
money.
Yeah.
Yeah, get financing, and then we'll figure out. No, you can't do
There's
that, right?
no
Like,
economics there, man. That's just, saying prayers that somebody's going to invest in our stuff because we don't make a good enough product that people are willing to pay for it. It's craziness.
exactly.
But yeah, we've gone through this. So economics, then you gather the building blocks and then you assemble everything, you put it together. So economics, we've actually got a calculator. I'll put a link here on the page so you can actually play around with it yourself. But to put this into perspective, and we touched on it before, so what Apple does is, right, ideally, they have people buying, I don't know about you, I'm not one of these people, but I know plenty of them, my wife, they try to get the new iPhone every single year. Like every time there's a new iPhone, they want to buy it. Then they have laptops ranging from $1,000 to $5,000. They have desktops that are not even on here that cost more. They got iPads, $500 plus, AirPods, $300, accessories, Apple Music, App Store.
Oh,
So we talk about this.
I want to jump in now. Like Apple now, the laptops actually go up to like $7,000, and like the desktop, I think the new Pro, I think you can go up to like $65,000 if you fully deck it out.
Yeah, the point is they have this massive maximum lifetime value, right? So they can pay a lot of money to get you in the door and purchase your first Apple product because they know you're going to buy a bunch of other stuff. So that's what Apple does. Here's what we do. We have our sheet. Maybe we should jump into it right now. What do you think?
Yeah. We have two versions of it. We got to find the right version of it. Like there's the new one with like all the costs like Stripe, and there's the general one. I think just opening. Let's see. Docs. Let's just open the one that's kind of like a general one. It should be all right. 1 second. I think it's called
Here,
AC.
check this one. This is the one that's on the image.
Image calculator. Yeah, I think this one. Yeah, this is version 1. They're both good. The only difference is that the one that we're gonna link you guys down is
Some more details, I think.
Yeah, it's like it has like Stripe fees and like what you pay your
Right.
what you pay your sales guys and all sorts of shit. Yeah, but this one is fine. So you might want to just zoom in a little bit.
There we go.
Yeah. Okay. Much better. Yeah. So there's how much. So like right there in the top left, it's like, what's your yearly goal? Like $1 million, right? That means you got to make like $83,000 a month. Weekly, you got to make 19,000, and daily, you got to make $2,700. So for you to hit that, you have to hit hit those numbers. Then you have your book price down there. So your book, your audio book, your upsells, whatever, and then you have your conversion rates on the right, and then it tells you your total value. So like your total value right there is $283, right? You see it? And then you have your average book value when you add everything up. It's like $29.60, right?
Yeah, so remember, $5.60. So we talked about the 10x factor. So this would be, like
5x.
5, basically, 560. Yeah, so 5.3. So that's a like a healthy place to be. You're going to be able to scale that probably to 7 figures. And if you want to get that way, to like, I guess high 7 figures, you'd need to probably double this somehow.
Yeah. That's where you add like like the back ends, like the $5,000, $10,000 per group. So go down a little bit.
Yep.
So right here you have the per buyer high ticket contribution. So like what's that? Yeah. So you have that's a contribution. So if everybody so for example, like if anybody buys your book on average, like if you do your high ticket right, you should make like $31 book contribution per book contribution. So like right here, you can see front end average value and the book contribution. Go down. I think the book contribution is down right here. So like conversion rates right there. So 1%. Like so, like let's say for example, right here in the left, you 1% convert to $5,000. Number of book buyers. So you have 4,000. Sorry, you have 45 book buyers. What's that? Scroll up there. Let me see that. Scroll up on top. All the way up top, how many book buyers a day did it say we need? Yeah, so we need 45 book buyers a day to hit $1 million, right? So if you go here, 5 will buy your back end. And so you do that 5,000 times 0.05. So let me see what that is on my end. It's 5,000 times times 0.45. Okay. Yeah, so you have that number right there. Go down, scroll down. And then you have so that's the other thing. So like you're not gonna have everybody just handing you 5,000. yeah, I wish you're not gonna have everybody handing you $5,000. Just the fact that a lot of people just don't have $5,000 to give you, right? Yeah. And so what you're gonna have like a full payment plan, 2 payment plan, 4 payment plan, and then this is the breakdown right here. what the acceptance rate is, meaning like how many people actually go through that. So, for example, you'll have like 40% be full payment plan. You'll have 40% be on 4 payment plans and about 20% there. So you get the math. And what happens is you have your um, day zero average value of about per book buyer right there being 31. Now we have 100 because 100 is easier to kind of do work with that. And then like after they buy, like meaning all the payment plans go through, you make $54 on average, when you sell the high ticket. And so that's where those numbers up there at 31 come about. You see it up there, 31 and then 54, the high ticket value.
Here, yes.
Yeah, right there. And so what happens is like your day zero value should be, what's that, $60 right there?
Yep.
Yeah, so it's day $60, and then like a full, like if they buy everything, like when all the payments come through, it's about, what is that, 83?
Yeah, so I'd probably say this is more like 30 days, and this is like, full year probably.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
So go right. What's that thing on the right hand side?
Yeah, so these are CPC, like what you
Yeah. So right there, like basically like allowable advertising costs. So this is like, okay, what can we spend on Facebook without losing our ass, right? So let's say we want to sell like 33 books a day. A conversion rate's 15%. So we get 15%. Like the guy that's in the real estate is actually now he's getting 20%. You know that? And some other guys are getting 10%. Yeah, it's converting at 20% that offer. So but some guys are getting 10%, right? So let's say just let's say for example at 33 books a day, you have conversion rate, you have the how many people you got to, so you got to generate 220 people to the page, right? And then the value per buyer, etc., right there.
Yeah, it's like 30-day value straight from here.
Right, exactly, value per buyer. And then if you want to just change the books today to 45, so it's like $1 million number right there. So we just put
yeah. So where did 33 come from? It's from.
Oh, right. Okay. So you need 33 buyers. Like once you have your once you have your back end in, that's where the 83.
This is the full year, right? So this is the 30-day. This is the full year.
Yeah. So 33 is actually right. Yeah. So on the right hand side, you have 33 buyers right there. So you need 33 buyers, right? And then with that, like you're gonna make about almost $2,000. And like if you look at the costs, you can spend $9 a click, right?
Yep.
So on average, you can spend $9 a click to break even, meaning okay, like we're in business, we're not losing money, right? So what we do is we like to cut that in half, so that way there's healthy profit margin, there's mitigation of risk. So we can spend about $4.55 per click. So what happens, like when we architect this, we know what our upsell price got to be, we know what our conversion rate's got to be, we know how many books we have to sell, we know how do you call it? We know how much we can spend. So when we run our ads, we'll look at Facebook stats. If anything goes to like $7 a click, whatever, or like if an account starts to tip over that $4.95, we start to pay attention, because if it goes over $9 a click on average, that means like, okay, we can't be profitable, right? And
so and then you might have to add a
so we have
or something.
Yeah, so like these numbers are like 95% accurate because we're not factoring in Stripe fees, PayPal fees, and any of that stuff. But and then if you have a sales guy, we're not factoring in his commissions. So the calculator, we're gonna link you on the bottom. We're gonna have a video that explains to the new version where it actually factors in all that. But that's how economics works. This is just for the sake of illustration. So what we do is, every single offer I've ran, I did this, and it's usually like modeling to real world, it's about 95% accurate, right? It's 95% accurate. And what happens is this allows me to stay on track, right? So I stay on track, and then like number doesn't lie, right? So like if this holds true, whatever the conversion rates, then we're good. We're good. We just got to trust it, and then we just pump.
And to touch on that, I just want to mention, you kind of just went over it and didn't really say much about it. But before we built our offer, I'd never heard of any products converting at 15% to cold traffic. I'd never heard of that. I think the highest I'd ever heard of or seen was maybe half of that. Like, if you had a page converting at 7%, I would be hugely impressed, and I would be like, "Damn, you're the best of the best of the best."
Yeah. So here's the kicker, right? Like we kind of talk shit about webinars a lot, but webinars get like say 20 to 30% registration rate, like or maybe 50% in some case, right? But like if you look at the real world, like I think one buyer is equal to like 20 freebies. So why wouldn't you just go ahead and get buyers? You're making money, you're getting free clients, and then the back end is free, and then you're getting like almost as high as like a webinar registration page with any of the bullshit, and it's like easier.
Yeah.
There's less stress, there's less expectations. People don't like really feel like you're this like car salesman pitching in a webinar, you know?
Yep.
So
And
it's like,
but the thing I wanted to
yeah.
mention here is we're actually going to show you how we do this. Like,
Oh yeah, that's cool.
yeah, we've got a whole video that shows the specific kind of page that we built and how we built it and why we built it that way that got us to 15%. And apparently, one of our guys is getting 20%, which is insane. So, anyways, have a look at this. We'll probably give you the link to the new one, which has all the fees and everything, and you can play around it. But the cool thing here is like you put it in, you see if it makes sense. You've got benchmarks numbers as far as like how it should be converting, and then if it doesn't make sense, then you're like, okay, well maybe I have to add another product, or maybe I have to raise the price of something or whatever. So,
yeah. So what we do with our guys in the program, like we make them go through the worksheets. We'll talk about this, the worksheet process. They do this calculator, and then once they put out their offers into the environment, what we do is we say, okay, like how are you? Where are your numbers at? And like when they pen it down, we can say, look, your upsell needs a little work. We can improve this, we can improve that, and then we can just move the numbers, right? Like we just tweak the numbers, and it works really well.
yeah, so this is exactly what he's talking about, the component. So rather than just winging it, there's a component for each part. So if you look at what Apple does, and we've kind of touched on this before, but like Alan was pointed out, they don't manufacture everything in-house. They've got an iPhone in the middle that they've packaged and marketed, but really TSMC is making the chip. Samsung is making the battery. Foxconn is making the earphones. LG is making the screens, and Sony is making the camera, and there's a bunch more parts that goes into it, but literally they're just getting all these parts and packaging them together, and then they turn that into a product. So here's a bit of a teaser as well, I guess, about some more stuff to come here in this course. But what we do is we've got the book, right? But then we take your system or your method, and then we take a little, some of the things that we're going to talk about later, your disruptive idea and your superpower. Then we take your cover, we take your table of contents, we take the ingredients needed to make this work. And so can you see how, like, in our case, it was a book, but we turn it into sort of components, and then you just grab all those components, you put them together, and there's your front-end product. Mm-hmm. So that's how that works. And, what we do as far as,
teaching you how to
getting,
do
yeah, just
or helping you implement, rather.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe talk about that, because this resonates with people.
Yeah, so this slide, every time like I share this with people, like, damn, right? It kind of like makes them a little angry, but it's true. So like, here's the reality, right? Like this is like how most not smart, I guess devious. This is how most guru courses are built. It's there on the left, right? And you have this like maze. It's called the obstacle maze method of creating a course, right? And this is the deal, right? Like if you sell somebody something for $5,000, you want to put a bunch of fucking obstacles in place, so therefore they fall off and they don't bother you, right? Because like they're gonna expect you to help them, they're gonna expect you to support them, they're gonna expect you, and like what you want to do is ultimately like create a bunch of videos, they watch the videos, and then you can like hire somebody else to do some calls for you, and you're chilling out there traveling, being Mr. Guru, right? And so what happens, like you have like 100 people buy this course, they go through this maze, and then at some point, it's like buy more shit if you want to figure this out. Or figure this out yourself, or like, they put the blame on you, right? And then at the end, it's like you got 3 people finishing. That's why there's such a massive, there's such a low success rate in this industry, right? Like it's like a massive failure of success in the industry. And you can see that because like, man, you go to some of these groups, there's like 100,000 people, 200,000 people. And it's like, you got a handful of people saying how they're doing well, right? So quite a few people don't succeed. And it's because of this obstacle course concept, right? So we built this whole thing internally, right? Because like, again, like I said, like we want to go into the yoga market, the fitness market, the dating market, a few other markets. And it was like, look, I don't want to sit there and like manage all this. I don't want to sit there. And so we had to come up with a process that's different, that works, right? And so what we started doing is we started looking, like I said, like at Apple and how they assemble things and other things and component pieces. And when I did a lot of consulting, it was like the same shit. Like people come to me and there was this like the maze. They've been through the maze, right? And they're like, help me get out of the maze. I'm like, oh, okay. And then I was like, here, fill out, like, here's some questions, answer these questions in a Google Doc, right? And what ended up happening is, like, as I was doing consulting, the worksheets became very important, because like I found that like if we fill out worksheets, I could untangle their problems, right? So we developed a unique process of helping people using what we call the worksheet assembly process. And so go to the next slide.
Yep.
And so what happens is like we literally have worksheets for everything. Like we have a worksheet for creating a book, we have worksheets for Facebook ads, we have a worksheet for Google ads, for retargeting ads, Instagram ads, YouTube ads. We have constraints. So like the big idea of constraints is like for example, like what's preventing you from moving forward. So one of the questions we ask is, what's holding you back from accomplishing your 10 years goals in 6 months, right? It's a very, very dense question. When people answer, they're like, oh shit, right? So they move a lot faster. We have a worksheet for helping you create your dream team, like your pre-launch, like before when you finish your offer, like, did you do all these things? We have a worksheet for branding, reputation management, the front end, upsells, value bomb, social media profiles, SMS, emails, emails, not SMS emails, SMS. We have a worksheet for creating books. We have a worksheet for the technology stack. So it's like, here's how you use this. We have a worksheet for your phone script, your phone sales. We have a worksheet for hey, like some guys in a program don't speak good English. Like English is their second language. So they
me.
go right, exactly. Like so they find experts out there. So we have a worksheet for finding experts, testing experts, vetting experts, onboarding experts. We have a worksheet for every component of the process, right? And what happens is like Robert, why don't you pull up the onboarding worksheet and we'll just show them like one of the worksheets and how that looks like, and also the book writing worksheet.
So here we go. Here is the onboarding worksheet. And so what we do is you join Automatic Clients, the program. And what we do is we try to extract all the components. We've talked about components a couple of times now. And the point is like, let's go through this, fill it all out. And by the time we have all the components for your offer. Maybe you need to sit down for 3 hours and do this. Maybe you need to Google something. But the point is like we want all the components on a piece of paper. And this goes really deep. This goes into everything that has to do with you personally, your offer, how you can help people. If you're gonna be on camera and like, doing the guru thing, there's a part about, your character or what do you call it, Alan? The archetype.
I'm back.
And
yes.
But the whole point is like we gather all the components in one place, and this has kind of become a cool little thing where people join the program and they're like, maybe jumping on a flight somewhere, or they're away at their at their parents' place, and they take a couple of hours to go to like a nice hotel or something, and people just take a couple of hours to fill this out because it's really important and it goes quite deep, so it takes a bit of time. But the whole idea is like once you have all this, then compiling or rather assembling the book and the page, like everything else is just an assembly process. So this is just where we get all the components.
Right. So all these questions are basically like when I did consulting, I would ask people these questions. I'm like, give me answers to these questions, right? And what I would do is like when they give me answers, then they're like, what should my product be? I'm like, oh, here's your product because you answered this. Like, then they're like, for example, like, what should my market be? I'm like, okay, here's your market because you've answered this, right? Or like, what's your disruptive idea? It's this because you answered that. Or like, we even have a thing up there like that talks about how like, if you're, let's say you're like how you like to work. Like some people like to work alone. Some people like to work in proximity. Some people like to work with other people. And so the reason that's important is because like if somebody's like, if you have somebody in the program and they're like for example, like Nick, he's in a program and he did a worksheet and we found that he was a proximity worker, right? So he has to have somebody near him to work, right? And when he's alone, he doesn't, like, his output goes to nothing. So we figured it out because of his answers here, and we're just like, look, all you got to do is just like find somebody near you to hang out with you while you're working. And dude, he did it, and like his output went through the roof, right? So the reason we have this is like, this is how we get everything in our brains, all that 20 25 years of experience and millions and millions of dollars and like actually losses, right? Put it in here, you fill it out, and then you have 80% of what we have in our heads. Now it's in your head through this worksheet. And then 20% is us literally doing calls and just going over things and be like, okay, what's this mean? What's this mean? So for example, stop. I go up, like right here, we scroll up one more, like we have like your market niche intimidation factors, right? So like, there's this thing where like, if you go in a market, like, and you try to sell something, or like the way you word something, or like, the product you want to sell, it could intimidate people. Like it could scare the hell out of people. So like Alex, he's in a program and like he was selling this thing, how to create a battery backpack, right? And his conversion wasn't that great. It was only like 6%, right? And like he did a worksheet, and we were like, oh well, the reason it's not converting at 10 to 20% is because it's very intimidating to create. You got to go to Home Depot, and like because on his page, on his sales page, he had this thing where it was like about like soldering, like he talks about like soldering items and stuff like that. So we're like, okay, you got to change this, remove the intimidation factors, conversions go up, right? So there's all these little things that like we dig in, and I mean when we dig in. So this is like 40 pages. When you're done with this thing, it's like 120 pages. I mean, your brain will bleed. It's fucking hard work. It's super hard work. But once you do this, you literally can, once you get this process down, you can literally print, like you can like magically, snap your fingers and you have a 7-figure business, right? It's not that easy, right? There's work, there's risk and all that shit. But what I'm saying is like,
you have the component for it.
Right. Like your probability of success goes through the roof, right? Exactly. And so this is how we do the components. So like one of the other big things is like that people get really stuck on. It's like, how the hell do I write a book? I'm not a writer. Everybody, like nobody likes writing. Well, that's easy. There's like a worksheet for a book, right? So all you do is like, once you fill out that worksheet, once we know your market, what you help people out, etc.
Yeah.
Then
and
it's
this,
like,
sorry to cut you off, but like this is really common, right? So Kevin, when he was writing his book, he was getting stuck on, what was he stuck on? It was like, oh, this part. He was like, I don't know, how do I write my chapters? And he was like, I'm sure everybody's been there at some point where like you get stuck on something and your productivity literally goes to zero. Like you can't proceed. And he was at that point where like, he's like, I know what I have to do, but I just can't get it done. I'm like, okay, dude, what's the problem? He told me, I'm like, oh, you're just missing a structure for a chapter. Here it is, the problems, the solution, proof and credibility, chapter summary. He messaged me like 2 hours later. He's like, dude, I'm finished. Like that helps so much. So that's the whole point of all this, by the way. It's like, we just give you, like Alan said, we give you our knowledge and then we combine it with what's in your head. And that sort of spits out, the components for the offer.
Right. And so when like this is the thing, right? Like, so like the way we work with people is like, we give away all the knowledge for free. And like, yeah, you can go do this yourself. Fine. Right. It'll just take you a year. Right.
Yeah.
Like, because there's a lot of little things you'll miss. So like the worksheet, for example, like the main worksheet, it's like, yeah, there's like 40 pages of questions that you have to answer. Once you answer all the questions, we have a complete map of the offer. We have, we have your market, your, what the product is, what it sells, like the price point, what the upsells are. I mean, we have everything, right? And so one of the things is like, the other thing is like, even if you were to give people the worksheet, like, hey, just fill this out and use it, they still couldn't use it because we have to be there in order to show you how these pieces and components assemble into the actual funnel, right? So the funnel looks very simple, but there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes.
Absolutely. Yeah, devil's in the details.
All right, back to Keynote.
Cool. So I think that gives you a fairly good idea of how we do things as far as the components goes and the economics. Now let's quickly talk about assembly. So at this point, again, you've gone through the worksheets, you have all the components, and now you need to assemble it so that it looks something like it you see here on the right. This is where you have the ad for the 2-hour agency, you have the sales page, you have the upsell page, you have the second upsell page, you have people booking phone calls with your sales guys. All of that is like, okay, what does Apple do? Well, they've got an assembly line. What does Tesla do? They've got an assembly line. So we do the same thing. We take those worksheets, you do the economics, you go through the worksheets, right? And then you start adding these, or putting these pieces together. You copy paste our 7-figure funnel. We give you our emails, right? So you just tweak them to make them work for you. You put that into your autoresponder. You take our ads. So if I'll send you an ad, like our best ad, I'm like, okay, here's the best ad. I ordered a book, physical. I took my phone. I recorded. You do the same exact thing, and then I think you see the process, right? You just copy and paste everything, put in your own stuff, and then you launch it.
So just to give you the power of that, like there's this one guy, he came in a program, he was trying to sell a book using like these other ads. They sucked, right? And I was like, okay, he's in the program. I'm like, here, dude, just take our fucking ads. So he copied our ads. His CPA went from like $80 a customer to like, I think like $16 a customer. And he texted me, he's like, dude, this is like game over. It's life-changing. And I'm like, yeah, just we literally give you everything. Like you come in, we're like, here's a ClickFunnels link, copy ClickFunnels, right? It's like, here's the whole funnel. Okay, here's all our emails. Here's all our SMS. Here's all our ads. Here's the worksheets. Here's the upsell copy. Here's upsell 2 copy. Here's the members area. Here's the template for the book. Here's the bump. Here's somebody that'll help you do your graphics. Here's somebody that'll read your book to turn it into an audiobook. Like you get like literally everything. It's just like here. It's all done. So you're compressing like what would take you a year in over something like 5 to 12 weeks. It's crazy. Like there's nothing else like it.
Yeah, yeah, I really like the way that we've designed this. So let's talk about, okay, how do you actually do this? Like, how do you create your ebook? How do you create your upsell? Like, what is it? How do I do it? All that. So step one, again, we're going to use the ebook as an example. You don't have to do an ebook. You can do a course. You could do a physical product. Like, there's many different ways to do it, but I'll just use the ebook for now to kind of give you the idea of how everything works. So create your $5 ebook. You can just flat out write one, right? You don't have to be a writer. This is how I did it. I never wrote a book before. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have a framework. I just had an idea, put it into a book, and just went with it, okay? Then the other option is you could just outline it, maybe pay somebody to do the actual writing. You could take a video and turn that into a book. Like maybe you have some kind of course.
Well, one more thing. Like, so I want to jump in. Like if you go on Amazon, right? There's literally like millions of books, and like, you know, a lot of those books don't sell. So if you go to Udemy or whatever, and like people have like courses and books, you can just hit up all these experts, and you can be like, hey, you know, I have a way for taking what you have into like this amazing business, and like people literally license you the book. So you can get a book from somebody and pay them like $1 a sale, and you can sell as many as you want. So you don't even have to write it.
Yep, absolutely. That's one way to do it. You can also maybe have an audio recording, or maybe you want to do just an audio book. Like that's one way to do it. Maybe you have a webinar. You know, I think Alan, you've had a couple of clients that they had failed webinars. They turned them into a book, and that works. So
so all you do with a webinar is you just transcribe. You just take your webinar, you transcribe it, and then you just add some images and like whatever. You make it, you puff it up a little bit, and then you have a book.
Yep. So you get this front end, right? And again, it's components. So you take all those pieces, you put them together, and you get this little book. Step number 2, so this is about the upsell. So this is what we had. Like we took all this, we got to our agency. Step number 2 is creating upsell number 1. So the way to approach this, bigger, faster, stronger. You know, if you can have templates. One thing that I'd like to test that I haven't yet is like a challenge. You know, people love those like 30-day challenges. So depending on what market you're in, I think that could be really good as far as an upsell, maybe in the fitness space especially. It's just an exciting thing, right? A challenge. It could be extra content. It could be done for you campaigns. It could be, you know, even communities or software. There's a bunch of different ways to approach it. But what we did is we had this ultimate agency package. So it was effectively, you know, a combination of more content. So like video course kind of, a bunch of templates as far as emails and the ads and stuff that I use in my agency. And also I had this Double Your Agency workshop, which is kind of like a bonus. So this was for like people who were starting out and like, okay, well, take all this, put it into your agency and get started.
Yeah. So we have 3 different upsells that we let like the people in the program pick, right? You can pick, if you're selling B2B, we do what's called a campaign upsell. So like that would work better. Like if you're selling like B to startups, like agency or agencies, the ultimate package. And then if you're selling to somebody that's like starting from zero, you sell what's called a launchpad upsell. So we're not going to cover the others, but all you got to know is this is how this one works.
Cool. And then upsell number 2, again, you could offer more help in some way. Is there some kind of mini mastermind or community that you could offer? Like we were offering a Slack community. So it's, you know that everybody in there is there because they paid. So it's not like a free Facebook group. You know, it's a bit of a different mentality. Done for you stuff. Like one of the things that we have been offering is we partner up with a VA company, a virtual assistant company, and they're helping you know, people that bought the 2-hour agency book are hiring our VA company to do lead generation for them, maybe like onboarding or fixing their WordPress site. So this would be a perfect upsell too that we just haven't had time to test, but I think that would do really, really well. So just keep thinking about it in that way and you can kind of see what you come up with. And this is what our upsell 2 looks like. So we put 314 people in there, people just, in the paid little mini mastermind. And then this is something we've touched on before is your mastermind or not even a mastermind actually. We call it the accelerator is a common term for it. It's a one-to-many program. And the way to approach it is really transformation. You know, a lot of people can get stuck in like creating the best content. It's like, yes, that's part of it. But what you really want to do is you want to help people get results really quickly and you want to change their lives. And that can be small sometimes, like that can be a new mindset. If you think about somebody who starts in business with, like if I think about myself, so my journey from 2012 to now, like the way that my mindset has evolved throughout the years is tremendous, right? And all the people that have helped me along the way and helped me shape new ways of thinking about business and life, etc., I remember those forever, and they transformed my life. And so I could have paid $2,000 for a program, and maybe the biggest thing I got out of it was that, it's kind of cheesy, but it could be like, oh, I deserve more, I need to think higher or think of bigger goals. That could be it, right? So I just say this, that it's important not to get caught in the, like here's the A, B, and C, what to do, but you got to make sure that you're thinking about it. It's like, how can I change these people's lives? Part of it is through results, but also part of it is like mental and so on and so forth. And I say
Transformational programs.
Yeah, all hands on deck. So this is where like you really want to go all in and really like help people here. Like you can't just automate this. You want to be in there. You want to help them. You want to help them get there fast. And one thing for me was like I used to feel that the course that I made wasn't worth $5,000. But that changed because of two things. Number one is like this approach, right? That you ensure or you do your absolute best to get people results. Like it's problem solving, not marketing. So that's one part of it. Sorry?
Yep. No, go ahead. I'll add some to the end.
Yeah, so that's part of it. It's like actual problem solving. And number two is if you, let's call a spade a spade. If you have a scarcity mindset where you think that somebody paying you $5,000 is a crazy amount of money, that's fine. I've been there. Watch how quickly that changes when you have 100 new customers a day. Mm-hmm. It changes very quickly because you can burn those 100 customers and fuck up and not really get a sale. You can burn the next 100. You can burn the next 100. But maybe on the fourth day, when you got your 400th customer, they turn into a buyer. And you're like, oh, that's cool. Like,
what do you mean burn?
I say, well, burn as in like maybe let's say you sent them an email, you invited them for a call, and they didn't take you up on it.
Screw up the sales, screw up
the
sales.
Yeah, exactly. So what happens is like I heard a really like people say fake it till you make it, and honestly, to some extent, I kind of believe in that. But the true confidence and sort of leveling up of your mindset comes from just proving yourself. Like, oh, look what I did. I didn't think I could run 5K. I went out and I ran 3K, then I ran 4K, then I ran 5K. Guess what? Yeah. Now I think I might be able to run 6K, right? Yeah. Like that's the only way really to like level up your thinking. So
yeah, so like when I did consulting, like I had one guy came to me and like he had a webinar, right? And like the webinar stopped working and like he had all these leads in the program, so he wanted to like kind of like do something. So I was like, hey, why don't we just create a $5,000 program and sell it? And I was like, oh man, so like really uncomfortable, right? So because mentally he couldn't like wrap his head around like selling that. So I was like, just do it. So they did it, and like, dude, they made like 35 grand in like a few days, like overnight. And like, he got really uncomfortable. He got really uncomfortable with that because I was like, what's going on? He's like, he was freaking out because it was making money too easy. Yeah. Like there's this mental thing. It's like there must be something wrong with this because it shouldn't be this easy. And like, so he quit doing it. And then like he got back in. So now he's in this program actually doing it. And like his mindset's a little better and he's crushing it. So that's the biggest thing we deal. Yeah, we deal with a lot of that shit with getting that, even like I remember this one of these guys I was like, it's our mutual friend, but like, he came to me and I was like, why don't you go sell a $25,000 program, right? And like, it took me like a good 3 weeks of like talking to him to get it.
Yeah.
And then he finally did it. I sold a $25,000 program. I'm like, okay, great. I'm like, now I'll go sell a $100,000 program. And so he's working on that. So it's like once you get over the mental hump,
which is a big part of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So like this other guy named Matt, like he came in, he has an agency and we're like, let's build a $1,000 upsell. He came in and we built it it was like resistance, massive. Oh, nobody's gonna pay for that, like that shit. I'm like, oh, just do it. Boom, change his business. So here's the reality. Like, $5,000 is like in today's day and age is really not that much money because like what like look at what people are paying for. So like people, like women pay like $5,000 for purses. Like like what Kanye West shoes on eBay are selling for like $2,000-$3,000 now, I guess, right? Like people are like paying a lot of money for weird shit, like, and they're paying a lot of it too, right? So it's like and what you have to realize is that very few people out there are going to their bank accounts and pulling money and giving it to you. It's all done on credit cards and credit and shit anyway, right? So like everybody's spending money on things they want, right? So like the way you got to look at it is like if you get this customer in, like for example with us with automatic clients, like we believe so hard in this that like if people don't join this program, we're like, what the fuck is wrong with you, right? Because the way we see it is like if you have something that can change somebody's life, if you don't sell them something and charge for it, right? Somebody else is going to sell them some shit. Somebody else is going to sell them some shoes, some other stupid things that's just going to get old and fall apart. It's not going to help them at all, right? So it's your duty to sell them. Now, the thing is, like with people that pay you 5K, the beautiful thing is they actually do stuff. They work. So like when somebody pays you 5K, they show up on every call. They do their homework. They put things in play. They're very active. Like they're committed. They're committed, right? If you have people that are like 1K or like lower, dude, they're like fiddle fucking around all day, like, you know, excuse after excuse, you know, whatever. So again, like I said, like $5,000 is really not that much. I mean, people are, I mean, shit, like I paid like $5,000 for ceramic wrap on my car, and you can't even see it. It's like you know that thing, so you don't have to wash your car. I got tired of washing the car, so I had this thing, put on for $5,000, and you know, every time it rains, my car's like perfect. So like money's being spent all over the place. You're just not aware of it. You know, you're like, what do they say? It's like you're just not shopping at the right places, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, no, totally. Yeah. But again, once you have volume of customers, like it's a bit of a process. Like if somebody does watch this right now and they feel like, oh, I can't really see myself getting 5K for this. I was there. And then as soon as you start getting that volume of customers, it goes away so quickly because you just have this totally different abundance kind of mentality. And the other thing that's like scary on another level, which we recommend oftentimes, is to start selling it before you even created it. Because what's going to happen is you're going to want to create your front end. You know, you want to have your book so you can start running ads. And so what we did was we did that, right? We fixed our we created our front end. We started selling it, and we actually started selling people into the 5K program, not even having started it. So of course you got to be honest with them and say that, look, it's in progress. Like we're producing, and I would just release stuff every single week. But that's the way you want to do it, because otherwise it's going to take you forever, and you don't want to create something that you don't have proof that people are actually buying. So you want to start selling it as soon as you can. And this is what our back end just sort of looks like. So just nice and clean. Like we put a course in there that's very linear, and then I combine that with weekly group coaching. And that's how we did that. And so go ahead.
So what it looks like doesn't matter. What matters is that you're basically selling a transformation in somebody's life. You're helping them get the outcome. Like the deliverable, like how, like if is it in like this fancy video, it's ugly video, it doesn't matter at all.
Absolutely. And so just kind of as a timeline, this should help you. Of course, this is going to depend how much you procrastinate, how much time you have, et cetera, et cetera. But you should be able to figure out your economics and sort of coming up with the idea for your book, and your OTO means one-time offer. So that's later. 1 week for the economics and figuring out like what is your book, what is your OTO, what is your back end. Superpower and disruptive idea is actually something we're going to be discussing in future videos. But you come up with all that and figure out which market you want to go into. Then you go crazy into the sort of, you know, components, like actually working on the deliverable. So creating the book, creating the course, whatever you're selling, creating the sales funnel, doing the tech integrations, creating all the assets. You know, you might need some images in your book or images on your sales page, doing the copywriting, you know, creating video sales letter slides and stuff like that. You know, again, depending on how fast you move, 4 to 8 weeks for that. And then you assemble everything, you know, 1 to 2 weeks, you just put it together, start testing it, and then you launch it. And that's kind of how we recommend that you guys do it.
Yeah, some guys will bang it on in 5 weeks, and some guys will take their time, right?
5 years.
So yeah, or never.
Yeah, absolutely.
And one thing, by the way, like if people in the program come in, they're not doing shit, they get kicked out. That's the other thing, because like again, like it's just we don't want to like waste our time. And it's like, you know, if somebody's not doing anything, then it's like, you know, why are you even here? You know, why are you wasting time?
Right.
They don't really want it.
So there you have it. That's how you actually think about like what your funnel should be, what your product should be. You got the calculator, and you got sort of a timeline for how you should be doing things and how long it should take you. And we got some more stuff to come in, you know, touched on a couple of them. disruptive idea, superpower, all that's really, really important. So that's coming in future videos.
Yeah.
And
So one thing about superpower and disruptive idea, like if you watched all these videos so far and you're like, oh, I know how to do it, you don't, because like if you don't have the superpower and disruptive idea concept down, you're gonna go in and get your ass kicked in the marketplace.
oh, and you know what's interesting is like a lot, you know how sometimes you know something, but unless you've sort of identified it yourself or sort of thought about it, then you don't really see it out in a marketplace. So when we started thinking about the disruptive idea and the superpower, I'm seeing it now everywhere. I'm seeing it in book titles. I'm seeing it in characters, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm
Really?
especially seeing it in like successful books. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it's really good stuff. Anyways, see you in the next video.